Hey everyone. Today's video is very different from what I normally do. This is a very special episode on the Slay Del Val channel. Let me just say off the bat, if you only want to watch me put on eyeshadow, tell you if a lip gloss is popping or not, review new products as they come out, you can skip this video and I will see you later this week when I upload another video. I've seen a few things going down on Twitter and I feel the need to respond to them. As I've said in other videos, I'm way too old to be going back and forth with people on my timeline. So I resolved today that if something is heavy on my heart to speak on, I'm going to come to YouTube with it. I'll put this out there as well. I'm not here to push a narrative. I'm not here to rant and rave. These are sensitive topics that I'm speaking about, but I said in my last video, I think in my last two videos, my mission statement is to educate, entertain, inform, and inspire. And this is me informing and educating because the things that are being responded to by a majority of non-Black women. And a lot of these people are people that I follow, that I interact with on social media. And I really want you all, if you consider me a friend, to watch this with an open heart and an open mind and really try to hear me before popping off, because I'm not coming for anybody. I really want people to understand my point of view as a friend and as a Black woman. These subjects are kind of beauty related. One involves a beauty YouTuber and another one centers on representation and presentation. This video is probably not going to be edited. I just want to give you guys, this is me here. And I said I would never make a video while I was in my feelings. I've taken the whole day to really calm down and focus on what I want to say. So let's go. Yesterday, beauty influencer Jackie Aina tweeted that she read and has seen videos of doctors flat out saying that they are taught to ignore the issues that Black women bring to them in the emergency room, in hospitals, in the doctor's office. So she's switching to a Black doctor next year. A lot of people saw this as racist. I saw people saying, well, if a white woman said this, this would be called racist. Like, I only want white doctors. I cannot side-eye Jackie for that. I cannot sit back and say she's wrong for saying that. I know that there are wonderful doctors of every race, color, and creed. I have a wonderful, beautiful, attentive Middle Eastern general practitioner, and she's one of the best doctors I've ever had. I saw her for my physical around this time last year, and when I went back for my follow-up towards the end of February, she looked at my chart and she said, "You've gained weight and this has changed. What's going on?" And I said, "I've been eating more and I've been drinking more alcohol because my mother passed away in December, right before I saw you. And then I found out that the man that I was dating was cheating on me and I'm going through this horrific breakup. So that's what's going on there." And she immediately went from doctor to friend, basically. She was like, "What can we do for you? Do we need to do anything to help you do this? How can we help you through this? Anything you need. If you need to call me here, just anything you need, tell me, because I know you're going through hard things," and all of it happening back to back, that made a difference to me. And that's why she's still my doctor. I actually need to make an appointment for my physical. But the thing about Jackie saying this, it's not racist. I know the way it can be read because Jackie has been accused of being racist in the past. it can come off as, I only want black doctors to touch me. I understand, but for black women, it can literally be a matter of life and death. We had Serena Williams literally come this close to death because her doctors wouldn't listen to her when she kept saying, something's wrong, something's wrong. She literally had to go to a nurse and say, I need this particular thing and I need a CAT scan, something is wrong. And when they finally did it, they found embolisms all up through her lungs. Any one of them could have killed her. It wasn't until she took matters into her own hands. This is one of the most powerful women in the world. She's the greatest athlete living. And even she came close to death because her doctors wouldn't pay attention to her. Kim Porter, who most people know as the ex-girlfriend of P. Diddy, mother of 3 of his kids, she passed away this week at age 47. It's been reported that she had been in constant contact with her doctor saying, I'm not getting better, I'm not getting better. And they just kept telling her to drink salt water and take vitamins. She wasn't being heard, and now she's gone. I shared a thread on my Twitter of article after article after article of it being documented that doctors do not listen to black women when they're sitting in their offices saying, I'm in pain. Because there is this inherent belief that black women do not feel pain at the level of a non-black woman. The father of modern gynecology performed experiments on slaves because, and I quote, black women do not feel pain. They do not process pain the way others do. So he performed his experiments without anesthesia, ripped these women open because he believed that they were impervious to pain simply because they were black. There is a point to be made by, well, what if she just went to another doctor of color? I believe that Jackie said she wanted a black doctor because it's why a lot of my friends who applaud me for going to therapy, they say they would go to therapy if there were more black therapists. The assumption is, or the thinking is, I don't want to say assumption, the thinking is that someone from your community is more likely to know the struggles that you're going through. They're more likely to understand how certain things affect you because certain things affect them because they're in the same situation. There are people who are like, well, I would rather go to this person who looks like me because they're more likely to listen to me because they understand the health threats that are specific to black women. Especially if it's like a black woman doctor, like she's felt this pain, she must know. Going back to the black therapist, like this therapist grew up the same way that I did in a similar situation, more than likely. So they understand how simply just being black in America, especially these days, can contribute to the construction or deconstruction of your mental health. They're more likely to understand and respond to that because they have shared experience. That's just how it is. Like I said, I have a Middle Eastern doctor and she's the most attentive doctor that I've ever had. I've had white doctors. I've had Asian doctors. I had an Asian gynecologist and he just couldn't be bothered with anything. He just checked off charts and threw birth control at me and sent me on my way. You know, the same could be said for women who prefer female gynecologists. They're like, this woman knows the female body because she is a female. So she's more likely to catch something that a male doctor, even though they have the same training, she may be more likely to catch something that a male might not because she's used to looking at this every day. That's the thinking behind it. So no, I'm not going to side-eye Jackie. I might not rock with her, but I'm not going to condemn her for saying that. Because like I said, for us, it is literally a matter of life and death. And if that's what she feels that she needs to receive the best medical care, and she's in a position where she can afford health care with very little thought, I'm not going to look down on her for that. You're free to feel however you want about it, and please, I implore you, if you feel a way and you feel differently, please be respectful in my comment section. I am we're going into a very emotional time of year for me. I'm getting ready to celebrate my first Thanksgiving without my mother. My mother died last December, so I'm really not in the mental space to handle hate. I know I'm opening myself up to it by speaking on issues like this, but again, I feel it's important for me to. And if you feel differently, just be respectful. We can have a conversation. Just be respectful, please. The second part I want to discuss is cultural appropriation and why it's a problem. I'm a huge fan of Paige Christie, Petty Paige, here on YouTube. She shared a picture of a blogger, a white beauty blogger. I believe she's a beauty blogger. And she had box braids and she was wearing a crop top and jeans. And she said that this blogger is getting blowback and being accused of cultural appropriation. She's like, why is this a problem? Is this cultural appropriation or cultural appreciation? And a lot of the people that I follow, a lot of my mutuals were like, why can't people just accept that people are showing appreciation for another culture without assuming the worst from them? I understand completely wanting to show cultural appreciation, learn from somebody. Hell, we got the Wu-Tang Clan out here. They built their whole career on loving and appreciating Asian culture, but they did it in a way to which they made it their own. They totally stayed in their lane. They were gangster as fuck. But a lot of the elements they used in their music and their albums and a lot of the way they did things was based on Asian culture and classic kung fu movies. But they like I said, they did it in such a way where it's like it showed appreciation, but they stayed true to themselves. I would like to give you the textbook definition of cultural appropriation before I go into my thoughts on it. Cultural appropriation is the adoption of elements of a minority culture. Remember, it's a minority culture by members of the dominant culture. Because of the presence of power imbalances that are a byproduct of colonialism and oppression, cultural appropriation is distinct from equal cultural exchange. Particularly in the 21st century, cultural appropriation is often considered harmful and to be a violation of the collective intellectual property rights of the originating minority cultures, notably indigenous cultures and those living under colonial rule. Often unavoidable, when multiple cultures come together, cultural appropriation can include using others' cultural and religious traditions, fashion, symbols, language, and songs. According to the critics of the practice, cultural appropriation differs from acculturation, assimilation, or cultural exchange in that this appropriation is a form of colonialism. Cultural elements are copied from a minority culture by members of a dominant culture, and these elements are used outside of their original cultural context, sometimes even against the expressly stated wishes of members of the originating culture. That is from Wikipedia, and that is all I'm going to read right now because I don't want this video to be 30 hours long. Simply put, The problem with cultural appropriation to me is twofold. First, whenever elements specifically of hip hop African American culture are appropriated, they are usually attached to very harmful stereotypes. Also, when elements of hip hop African American culture are appropriated, they are glorified when they are on non-Black individuals, but vilified when they are in the Black community. Case in point, Marc Jacobs, a couple years ago, had a fashion show, and he had his models walk down the runway with dreadlocks. Now, I am not one of those people who stops a white person who has their hair in dreads and berates them. One of my faves, Zac Efron, a couple of months ago, posted a picture on Instagram where he had faux dreads, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? This is not, for him, it wasn't a good look, simply because it just didn't look right on him. But I hope he realized why certain people had an issue with it. When Black features are on non-Black bodies, they're considered iconic, fresh, trend-setting. But let a Black person do the same thing that we've done all of our lives and things that have been passed down from us, we're called ghetto, ratchet, trifling. A white woman can walk out on a runway wearing dreads, wearing cornrows, wearing box braids. And people be like, yes, she did that. But a Black woman going to work could be called into her boss's office and be sat down and told, if you don't take those braids out of your hair, you will be out of a job. There are actually laws across this nation that state that it is legal for an employer to discriminate against people who wear dreadlocks and other natural styles. There are countless articles every day of young kids being denied education simply for going to school wearing their hair the way it grows out of our heads. I don't know if you all know who Chris Crocker is. He was a YouTuber, is more active on Instagram and Twitter now, part-time porn star. Back when he was on Facebook, he put up a picture of all of these white artists who had braids and dreadlocks and cornrows, and he was like, where was your anger then? And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told him. Here's the second part of cultural appropriation that's harmful. Paul Mooney said it. Everybody wants to be Black until it's time to be Black. You have these people who, yes, appreciate the culture, as it were, but when they see things happening in the Black community, unarmed Black men being killed by police, Black women being discriminated against in the medical system, Black women being paid less, all of these things, they stay silent. With celebrity, I know it's tricky because it's like, if I speak up, I'll be told to stay in my lane. But if I don't speak up, I'll be chastised for not saying something. It's a double-edged sword. The celebrities who do choose to speak up, who do choose to take some sort of action, have experienced this. It's all over the media. So it's like, I have no problem when you wear braids, wear cornrows, wear dreads, when you listen to hip hop, when you speak in Ebonics and slang. But if you are not down to stand up for the people whose culture you are appreciating, that creates a problem. It's like you love the culture, but you don't love the people. That's where the issue comes in. And I really hope I'm getting my point across with that. It's not simply being a social justice warrior and wanting to call out, hey, you're wrong. And it's so sensitive when it comes to hair because our hair has the most unique texture in the world. Our hair is the only hair that grows towards the sun. That's why, even Marc Jacobs said, well, you see black women straightening their hair. I see people constantly coming for Jackie Aina because she wears blonde wigs. I wear blonde wigs. Blonde does not belong to white people. There are black people. Google is your friend. If you want to challenge every point that I'm saying right now, please Google and do some research before you come. Come with facts, because I can hit you with facts as well. There are black people who are born naturally blonde. It's a real thing. So no, we don't want to be white because we wear blonde wigs. No, we don't want to be white because we straighten our hair. Again, it's literally a matter of life and death. If we cannot get a job because of how our hair is laid or not, we don't eat and we stay stuck in poverty. There's a reason I wore a head wrap. One, because my edges need a break. I've been wearing wigs constantly for the last few months. But there's a reason I chose to wear a head wrap in this video. I don't know if you know this, but after slaves were freed, the black women wore their hair in very elaborate braided styles. Their natural hair was a wonder to behold. And because their hair was so fly, white women became afraid. This is documented. You can Google this, please do. And you might not have even known this was ever a thing. White women became afraid that the hairstyles that black women were wearing would catch the eye of white men. So they brought their concerns to their husbands, their fathers, their policymakers, and had them pass laws that required black women to cover their heads when they were out in public. So what did we do? We do what we always do. We turn lemons into lemonade and we make it fashion. This used to be a requirement. If I wanted to go out of my door, I would have to wear something like this on my head so that my elaborate hairstyle could not be seen and I wouldn't attract the attention of a white man. These were laws that were on the books. It's way before Jim Crow. Like I said, that was right after the slaves were freed. My father, my very own father, used to make fun of me because of my big old booty. He said, and I quote, "Your ass is so big that it takes 2 trips to get into the house." I used to be made fun of mercilessly for the size of my lips. But then Angelina Jolie comes along. Everybody wants to go get lip fillers. Kylie Jenner created a whole cosmetic empire because everybody was so fascinated by her thick lips. She tried to tell everybody she just overlines them, and then she admitted to having fillers. For some reason, black features are beautiful when there are non-black bodies. Kylie even went on Instagram with cornrows and captioned the picture, "White girls do it better." Like, that's the issue. It's the inherent racism. And even if somebody doesn't have a racist intent, it's like blackface. it doesn't matter the intent. There is harmful and hurtful history behind this practice. So it's better just to not do it. Now, if I, as a Black person, go to my Indian friend's wedding and they wrap a sari around me, that's me showing respect because they requested that I wear this. But if I was just to be out here during Halloween wearing a sari, being like, I'm an Indian girl for Halloween, that's hurtful, that's harmful. Because like I said, a lot of times when people do that, they bring a lot of negative stereotypes to that costume and they cause harm. So I just really wanted to put my thoughts out there with this. I really wanted you guys to understand that these are things that I deal with on a daily basis. And it's not so flippant. It's not just SJWs coming for people. It's people that deal with this hurt. And we carry it with us. And it needs to be called out so it can stop. And there has to be a mutual understanding. Not to be so quick to, on either side, to react with hate, but a listening. A bridge needs to be built to where somebody can say, this isn't right, this is hurting me and people in my community. And for the other side to see, I understand why this is hurtful, I was unaware, now I know, I can stop. If you've made it to the end of the video, I thank you so very much for watching. I'll be back with something more lighthearted later in the week. If I don't post until Thursday, please have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I know there are a million other videos you could have watched today. I thank you for coming to Slay. Bye, guys.